What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
What is up, everyone? Listen, I'm a little late getting to this topic, but this had been something that I had on my list of to-dos. And I try my best not to let the things that are on my to-do list, even if it's a little bit delayed, be denied. So it's not denied, it's just delayed. And now I'm getting a chance to get to it because, we talked about how Funky Dineva was going off on the 9 to 5 women who are pretty much his audience. Let's be clear. He may have a few entrepreneurs sprinkled in here and there because at one point in time I was, but that's not a flex really to say that you're an entrepreneur, even though I have been one and I have been one for 18 years now. I don't ever put myself in a position that I'm better than anyone who works a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 7 to 3 or whatever job. Because those who are entrepreneurs, we know that we work all the time. We may not clock in or out, but there are a lot of times when we fall asleep with the laptop on our lap. We fall asleep. We may sleep in the studio or in the office or whatever. We're always on. So honestly, until you have been an entrepreneur and you have been one for a lot of years, I know there have been a number of times where I was like, you know what? I would love to have been in the position as some of my staff where I was able to clock in and out, just get my paycheck direct deposited. Because if you know, you know. I'm not even going to go into all of the things when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But only someone who really just kind of started doing well really speaks that way. It's not a flex. No one who's an entrepreneur or who owns their own business or businesses is better than someone who is working in someone else's establishments. So it's just whatever. Negro, please. But I wanted to talk about this because we recently talked about the new opportunity that Claudia Jordan has. And let's be clear, Claudia, the woman works. You could say what you want to say. She's getting a check, whether you question some of the jobs that she may be doing, but she's doing her acting on Tubi movies. She's doing her different things across social media. She's on Carlos King's podcast. She has now the opportunity with Dish Nation, which is called Side Dish. She was in a movie in the box office theaters. You know what I mean? And I heard recently she was announced as one of the new castmates on Love and Hip Hop Miami, which some people question. I haven't watched Love and Hip Hop in ages, so I can't really tell you what that might be about. But I highly doubt she's going to be the love interest of Trick Daddy or Gunplay or some other dirty nigga on that show. I'm just saying, I highly doubt that. But it's another check. And that's the one thing she said about herself. She's going to get her checks. And Funky Dineva, he was detrimental in one of the checks that she was receiving regularly being canceled. And that was TGIF. So, in my personal opinion, anybody that damaged me in that way, I don't care if they came back leader to grovel, didn't really apologize, but would say, I want to work with you again, and then had the nerve right in that moment in time to give all the stipulations as to when I work with you again, this is how it has to be done. It's like, did you remember how you did me? Did you remember what you caused in my life? Do you remember all your funky bunch and whoever else that was coming at me, calling me all the things that they were calling me, but I was cool when we were cool. And now that you had a falling out with me and you did it publicly and say my problem is with that Claudia Jordan, and then all those people were coming for me, you can't take that back. what's done is done. But what he said recently about the 9 to 5 women, pretty much doubling down on what he had said about them, it just proves that his thoughts and views about Claudia never changed. It was, I'm gonna tuck my balls and do what the drag queens do. I'm gonna tuck it for a little bit, be uncomfortable for a moment to get my point across, and hopefully she'll buy it. But I don't believe she bought it. She just allowed him to do what he was gonna do in the public eye and, not come back at him the way that he came at her in the first place, just showing a little bit of grace. But she definitely, I believe, already knew in her heart of hearts that she was not going to work with this ninja again. So let's get into what he had to say.
It's 10:30 in the morning and y'all hoes at work on this here beautiful Friday. Not me, girl. Truth be told, I just woke up 30 minutes ago, and the only thing on my agenda today is figuring out where I'm finna go that's rich and fancy to eat lunch while y'all hoes at work scanning my page looking for something else to be mad about. Writing down bullet points on a sticky note because you can't wait to go downstairs on your lunch break to sit in your car to make another TikTok video at me. But just remember this, bitch. Every time you press record on your phone to make a video about me, remember this. We are not the same.
Thank God we are not the same. Thank God I'm not a nigga that's effing other niggas behind dumpsters. Thank God I don't look like he looks. Okay. Thank God. First of all, I'm not a hoe. I'm not at work, but when I'm working, I'm working. As I'm recording right now, I am actually in my studio, and I actually have a few of them, as well as I like to record in my closet from time to time. So I'm not in the closet. I'm just in my closet at the moment as I record, but I don't have to sneak down to the break room or go into the back seat of my car on my lunch break. I record when I want to record. And I guess he's trying to be funny by spelling it holes like pantyhose. But anyway, I really wanted to point this out because the fact that, he said right here, I am the hope and the dream of the slave. It's like you're the kind of the disgrace of the slave, because I don't believe that any slave thought that their future, their descendants would think that there was dishonor in any work as long as it was legal. So he is kind of the antithesis of a lot of the people across social media over a lot of the years now that have made legitimate jobs and careers seem like they're no good. And now we're going into a stage where it's almost like everybody wants to be an influencer, quote unquote. Everybody wants to be on social media. And you know what's funny? Because years ago, when I used to listen to him, he did a few what he likes to call think pieces. But I believe he did a couple of videos at least where he was talking about something that I kind of agree with, where he was saying that a lot of people are not wanting to do what they call regular work or regular jobs anymore because everybody wants to be on social media. They want to be an influencer, they want to be a gamer. Now the thing is streaming, which I still don't really understand that. But I'm saying where there's a shortage of manual labor, quote unquote, jobs, where those manual labor jobs can really be beneficial, where you are really making a great career, you're making great money, and you don't have all of the risks and the responsibilities that someone who owns the business has. Or you could turn that job into a business. You're a plumber by trade, but you create a plumbing company. You do HVAC by trade and you have your own HVAC company. One of my longtime clients, when I am operating in my beauty business, her family, they're multimillionaires, HVAC company. You know what I mean? So people like him who look down on people who are working on jobs that he calls working 9 to 5, you're really ridiculous.
Y'all happy to be off work.
Okay. Some are gonna say, "Oh, he's just happy. He's just happy. He's just making jokes. He's just a comedian. He's just trying to be funny." He's like, child.
Not me, girl. Cause where I stay, every day is Saturday, bitch. I ain't gotta go be miserable down to no job.
And see, again, like I said, some may think it's funny, and clearly, I guess they do because he still has the following that he has. And like I said, I'm just here to talk about it. I'm not here to try to dissuade anybody from following him if that's what they want to subject themselves to. But it's like, for me, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people are a glutton for punishment. But there are some people that are like, no, I'm not a glutton for punishment, and I'm done. But I want to share some comments with you. A lot of people, like I said, in his Instagram and maybe even on his YouTube, some of the comments, which he can moderate those things. So I want to share some comments from other places that people had to say about the thoughts and views of Funky Dineva. And a lot of them, they thought the views were funky. So one person said, I want to know how people are supposed to take care of themselves. Everyone can't be a YouTuber. Another person said, YouTube isn't guaranteed. Surely not. God will humble you. Trust me. Another person said, Funky acts like he doesn't work for Google. If he doesn't get his butt up and do these videos, he gets no check. Google can take it away and he'd be evicted again. He said, y'all don't live in the same neighborhoods, yet many of us live better. You would think he had over 1 million subscribers the way he talks. True. Another person said, as soon as his channel is snatched, he will be crying. Oh, Lord. And somebody said to that, yep. And then somebody said, I agree, but unfortunately, YouTube won't be forever. And his content commentary can be seen, viewed from, and produced by other YouTubers, content creators. Sorry for all the forward slashes, but yeah. And somebody else said, calling Claudia. Somebody else said, I've been over Dineva since he made those horrible and unwarranted comments about Chloe Bailey a couple of years ago. He definitely had an issue with women and he has lost touch with reality. This was very tone deaf, but is certainly on brand for what he's serving up nowadays. Shaking my head. Somebody else said, Funky is a walking liability, always popping off and popping. Blank. And if you know, you know. And somebody else said he gets mad at his rich female friends and takes it out on his supporters, shaking my head. Somebody else said doctors, nurses, lawyers, financial advisors, police officers, EMTs go to work. What the F? He also works. Hopefully, LMAO. Somebody else said, I don't see what people see in Funky. He's always putting his key audience down. He's constantly nasty and rude, like he always has a chip on his shoulder. And somebody else said, if the 9 to 5ers still support him after today, then their dumbasses need to be disrespected because they have no respect for themselves dealing with that slug. Somebody else said, I was on that video and clicked right out after that rude rant. The more he gets, the worse he gets. Life is sure to humble him. And somebody else said, he hasn't been humbled yet. And somebody responded to that, nope. And I'm glad I missed this. Yeah, I ain't even going to read that comment. But yeah, they went on him. Anyway, somebody else said, I don't know why people are surprised. FD has always given his subscribers his ass to kiss. He wouldn't have a check or be in a different tax bracket if they didn't watch him. I'm just saying. Somebody else said, he thought he ate, but baby, the plate is full. Somebody else said, he always makes little jabs about 9 to 5 people. And that's the thing. He's been doing this for years. And somebody else said he knew what he was saying was controversial, but he doesn't care because he knows that most of the women who follow him will continue to do so, despite how he disrespects them. And that's the sad part, guys, because Malcolm X said many years ago, the most disrespected person is the Black woman, and it seems like Funky Dineva, he read that, heard that, and said, "Oh, you know something? That is a way that I can profit. I'll profit off of disrespecting Black women since they are the most disrespected group, and it's a large group. Let me get in good with them so that I can disrespect them and make money off of them." And that's the sad part. So, unfortunately, I don't believe that his downfall is going to come from a huge exodus of followers moving away from his content, not subscribing to him, unsubscribing, not watching his content. It's going to have to be a life situation. And I'm not trying to compare him to Charlie Kirk, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Sometimes life just has a way, and it's not God doing it. The Bible says, by your own words, you will be justified, and by your own words, you will be condemned. Charlie Kirk's words preceded him, and his words led to, I believe, his demise. Period. The Bible says it. You can take it for what it's worth. And so, with Funky Dineva, a lot of the things that he says out of his mouth, I believe ultimately the what he has spoken over a multitude of times ultimately will be his demise. And that, again, is not me wishing any harm on him. It is just life has a way of humbling people, period. And I just don't believe it's going to come by way of all of these people just doing this mass unsubscribing and this mass exodus and not watching his content. Because let's be clear, it ain't a bunch of straight gay men watching him. Straight gay men. It ain't a bunch of straight Black men watching him, is what I meant to say. But the gay men that do watch him, I don't think a lot of them even like him. I played that video, LaTroy, and he was formerly one of Tamar Braxton's assistants, and a lot of things that he had said about him and thinks about him. So I'm just saying, I believe that ultimately life will humble this character. That is just now, recently, in the past 5 years, getting to the point of saying, "Oh, you know what? I can drive in a convertible." And that's the thing. That mindset was never really there before. He can talk about his education and what type of job he was doing before he decided to just do YouTube and whatever and blah blah blah. But clearly he was just getting by, and he could say whatever he wants to say about the Michelle Brown situation and the eviction from the home and all that stuff. And I know it happened many years ago, but if he was doing so well for all of those years, then why did it get to the point where he was evicted from that place and living the way that he was living? And I don't know. It's a lot, but I just wanted to bring this up because I had been meaning to talk about it, and it's still there because he still feels the same way, and that's why I believe that his views about Claudia Jordan never changed. And so it would have been foolish for her to ever work with him again in any capacity. And he is the type of person, he only wants to really try to get back in with somebody that he fell out with if he sees that it's an opportunity for him and he's feeling jelly in some type of way. I do believe that with Claudia working with Carlos King and Dustin Ross on a regular basis now, he's getting nostalgic about what he used to have with her and Al Reynolds. So that line that he talked about, this old episodes of TGIF was showing up in his feed, and he's a liar. I don't even believe that. I do not believe that. Okay? But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.